The great crystal towers of Nexus Prime reached high into the purple sky. Inside the biggest tower, the Hegemony Council sat around a massive table made of black stone. These were the rulers of the galaxy. They had power over thousands of worlds and billions of lives. Council leader Vextar clicked his sharp claws on the table. His 4 eyes looked at the data screen floating in front of him. The information showed details about a small blue planet called Earth. "These humans," Vextar said in his cold voice, "they think they can refuse our offer." The other council members made angry sounds. They had never been refused before. For 300 years, the Hegemony had ruled the galaxy. When they found a new species that could travel between stars, they always gave the same choice. "Join us or die. Their planet is small," said Council Member Thekra. Her green skin showed dark spots when she was angry. "They have only been traveling in space for 47 years. What can they possibly do against us?" The humans had been watched since their first ship broke the speed of light. The Hegemony had spies everywhere. They knew everything about ships, human weapons, and human numbers. Admiral Taemin stood on the bridge of the TDF Indomitable. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had fought in many battles, but never one like this. The message from the Hegemony was clear. "Give up all your warships, become our slaves, or we will destroy your entire species." The bridge crew worked quietly around him. These were good people. They had families back on Earth, children who played in parks, wives and husbands who waited for them to come home. They all knew this might be their last day alive. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kang. "Message coming in from Earth Command." Taemin nodded. "Put it on screen." The face of Fleet Admiral Park appeared. He was an old man with kind eyes and a strong voice. "Taemin, you know what you have to do." "Yes, sir. We understand." "The people of Earth are counting on you. Show them what humans can do." The message ended. Taemin looked around his bridge. Every person there knew they might die today, but they also knew they were fighting for something important. They were fighting for freedom. Captain So Young walked up to him. She was young but very smart. "Admiral, we're getting another message from the Hegemony ships." "What do they want now?" "They want our answer. Surrender or fight." Taemin thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was only 8 years old. She liked to draw pictures of spaceships. He wanted her to grow up free. He wanted her to draw whatever she wanted. "Send them our answer," he said. "What should I tell them, sir?" Taemin looked at the stars outside. Somewhere out there, alien ships were coming to destroy his world. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans would be easy to defeat. They were wrong. Tell them no. So Young smiled. "Just no, sir? Just no." The Hegemony fleet was huge. 2,000 ships from 5 different alien species. Each ship was as big as a city. They had weapons that could destroy planets. They had shields that could stop anything. At least they thought they could stop anything. Commander Reltak commanded the Hegemony fleet. He was a Krylian with thick armor and 6 arms. He had destroyed many worlds. He had made many species bow down to the Hegemony. "The humans refused to surrender," his officer reported. Reltak laughed. It sounded like metal grinding against metal. "How many ships do they have?" "Our spies say about 150 ships, Commander." 150? Reltak laughed again. "We have 2,000. This will be over quickly." But when the human ships appeared, something felt wrong. They moved differently than other ships Reltak had fought. Most species built their ships big and slow. They wanted to show how powerful they were. Human ships were smaller. They moved fast. They looked like they were built for one thing only: fighting. "Commander," his sensor officer said, "the human ships are not what we expected." "What do you mean?" "They're scanning us, but our sensors can't get a good reading on their ships. It's like they're designed to hide from us." Reltak's confidence started to fade. "Attack formation. All ships target the human fleet." The battle began. 2,000 alien ships fired at once. The space between the fleets filled with bright energy beams and missiles. It should have been over in minutes. But the human ships seemed to dance between the attacks. They moved in ways that made no sense. They worked together like they were all parts of one big machine. Then the humans fired back. Admiral Taemin watched as his ships tore through the enemy fleet. Human weapons were different from alien weapons. They were designed by people who had fought wars for thousands of years, people who knew how to kill efficiently. Target their command ships first, he ordered. Cut off their head and the body will die. The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves. They surrounded groups of enemy ships. They used the enemy's own size against them. Big ships couldn't turn fast enough to hit smaller, faster ships. Commander Reltak watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. His ships were exploding one after another. The humans seemed to know exactly where to hit them. "How are they doing this?" he screamed. His tactical officer was shaking. "Sir, they're using our own weapons against us. They're taking our missiles and shooting them back at us." "That's impossible." "Sir, they're also using our destroyed ships as weapons. They're pushing the wreckage into our other ships." Reltak had never seen anything like it. These humans fought like demons. They used every piece of space debris as a weapon. They turned every advantage into a disadvantage, and they never stopped moving. 6 hours later, the battle was over. Of the 2,000 hegemony ships, only 153 were still working. Most of those were badly damaged. The human fleet had lost 12 ships. Admiral Taemin stood on his bridge and looked at the wreckage floating in space. He felt sad for the alien crews who had died, but he also felt proud of his people. "Admiral," Captain So Young said, "we're getting surrender signals from the remaining enemy ships. Accept their surrender. Make sure their wounded get medical help." "Yes, sir." Taemin opened a channel to Earth. "Earth Command, this is Admiral Taemin. Mission complete. The enemy fleet has been defeated." The voice of Admiral Park came back immediately. "Outstanding work, Admiral. How are your people?" "We lost 12 ships, sir, but the rest of the fleet is ready for the next mission." There was a pause. Then Admiral Park said something that made Taemin smile. "Admiral, tell your people that the real fleet is on its way." Taemin looked at his crew. They had fought bravely today. They had shown the galaxy that humans could not be pushed around. But they had also shown something else. They had shown that Earth was just getting started. On Nexus Prime, Council Leader, Vextar stared at the battle reports. His hands were shaking. 2,000 ships had been destroyed by less than 150 human ships. "How is this possible?" he whispered. Council member Thekra looked at the data. "Sir, our spies were wrong. These humans are not like other species." "What do you mean?" "They don't build ships to look powerful. They build ships to kill. Every weapon, every system, every piece of their technology is designed for war." Vextar felt fear for the first time in centuries. "Contact our military commanders. I want every ship we have ready for battle." "Sir, what if they have more ships?" Vextar looked at the destruction of his fleet. "Then we're all in trouble." Commander Jae-wook felt the deck vibrate under his feet as his ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. The TDF Predator was built for hunting. It was smaller than the big battleships, but it was fast and deadly. "Commander," his navigator called out. "We're tracking the enemy ships. They're running toward the Kithara system." Jae-wook nodded. The surviving hegemony ships were trying to reach their nearest base. They wanted to warn their friends about what had happened. He couldn't let that happen. "How many ships are we chasing?" 153 ships, sir. But some of them are badly damaged. They're slowing down the rest." "Good. That makes our job easier." Behind him, Colonel Hanul checked her. Weapons for the 10th time. She commanded the Marine troops on the ship. If they caught up to the enemy, her job would be to board their ships and capture them. Hanul was not very tall, but she was very strong. She had trained her whole life to fight. Her Marines trusted her completely. They would follow her anywhere. "Colonel," Jae-wook said, "how are your people?" "Ready for anything, Commander. We've been studying the alien ship designs. We know where their weak spots are." The human fleet had split up after the battle. Some ships stayed to help the wounded. Others went back to Earth with prisoners. But 12 ships like the Predator were hunting the ones who ran away. On the enemy flagship, Commander Reltak tried to think of a way out. His fleet was broken, his ships were damaged, and the humans were following them. "Sir," his communications officer said, "the humans are getting closer. Their ships are faster than ours." "How much time do we have?" "Maybe 6 hours before they catch us." Reltak hit his fist on his chair. These humans fight like nothing I've ever seen. They don't follow the rules of war. What rules, sir? Big ships fight big ships. Small ships fight small ships. You line up and shoot at each other until someone wins. That's how war works. His officer looked confused. But, sir, the humans didn't do that. Exactly. They used small ships to attack big ships. They used our own weapons against us. They even used pieces of destroyed ships as weapons. Who does that? The officer didn't answer. He was too scared. The truth was that humans had learned to fight differently. On Earth, wars had been going on for thousands of years. Humans had learned that the side that survived was the side that was willing to do whatever it took to win. Other alien species had rules about fighting. They thought war should be fair. They thought war should be honorable. Humans thought war should be won. Commander Jay Wook studied the tactical display in front of him. The enemy ships were getting tired. Their engines were overheating. Some of their ships were falling behind. Target the slowest ships first, he ordered. We want to capture them, not destroy them. Sir, why capture them? Wouldn't it be easier to just blow them up? Jay Wook smiled. We need information. We need to know how many ships they have. We need to know where their bases are. Dead enemies can't answer questions. The first attack came without warning. The human ships appeared out of nowhere. They had been hiding behind asteroids and space debris. The aliens never saw them coming. The human weapons were different from anything the aliens had seen before. Instead of big energy beams, humans used small, fast missiles. Instead of trying to punch through enemy shields, human weapons went around them. One alien ship tried to fight back. It turned its big guns toward the nearest human ship, but the human ship was already gone. It had moved behind an asteroid. Then, the human ship came back from a different direction. Its missiles hit the alien ship's engine room. The alien ship stopped moving. This is the TDF Predator, Jay Wook announced on all radio channels. You are surrounded. Shut down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. The alien captain was confused. Boarded? You want to come onto our ship? That's right. Turn off your weapons and surrender. If you fight, we will destroy your ship. The alien captain had heard stories about human boarding parties. The stories said humans were monsters who ate their enemies. He decided not to find out if the stories were true. We surrender, he said. Colonel Hanul and her Marines flew across space in small attack ships. They moved fast and quiet. The alien ship was big and slow. It couldn't stop them. The Marines attached their ships to the alien hull. They cut holes in the metal and climbed inside. The aliens were waiting for them with weapons ready, but the Marines were ready too. Hanul went first. She moved through the alien corridors like a shadow. Her armor was black and quiet. The aliens couldn't see her until it was too late. The first alien soldier she met was twice her size. He had 4 arms and sharp claws. He thought he could easily defeat one small human. He was wrong. Hanul moved faster than he could follow. She hit him 3 times before he could even lift his weapon. He fell down and didn't get up. The other Marines followed her lead. They moved through the ship like they owned it. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Most alien species were strong but slow. They relied on their thick armor and big weapons. They fought by standing in one place and shooting at each other. Humans were different. They moved fast. They used the environment around them. They thought quickly and changed their plans in the middle of a fight. Within an hour, the alien ship was under human control. The alien crew was locked up in their own prison cells. Hanul stood on the bridge and looked at all the enemy equipment. Commander, Jay Wook, she said into her radio. Ship secured. We have 43 prisoners and lots of interesting technology. Good work, Colonel. Start questioning the prisoners. I want to know everything about their military. The prisoners were scared. They had never been captured before. The hegemony usually killed anyone who fought against them. They didn't know what humans would do to them. Hanul sat down across from the alien captain. He was a big creature with blue skin and 6 eyes. He was shaking with fear. What's your name? She asked. I am Captain Zelnok of the Hegemony Fleet. Well, Captain Zelnok, I have some questions for you. If you answer them honestly, you will be treated well. If you lie to me, things will get unpleasant. You're going to torture me? Hanul looked surprised. Torture you? Why would we do that? We're not monsters. But But the stories say humans eat their enemies. Hanul laughed. We don't eat people, Captain. We're not animals. We just want information. The captain looked confused. You're not going to kill me? Not unless you give me a reason to. Now let's talk about your fleet. How many ships does the hegemony have? Over the next few hours, the captain told her everything. He was so grateful to be alive that he couldn't stop talking. He told her about hegemony bases, weapon systems, and battle plans. Hanul listened carefully. She recorded everything. This information would be very useful. Meanwhile, Commander Jae-wook continued hunting the other enemy ships. One by one, his ships caught up to them. Some surrendered immediately. Others tried to fight. The ones that fought didn't last long. Human ships were designed by people who understood war. Every weapon was built to kill efficiently. Every system was built to work even when damaged. Every crew member was trained to think for themselves. The aliens had bigger ships and more powerful weapons, but they had built their technology for show, not for fighting. Their crews followed orders without thinking. When their commanders were killed, they didn't know what to do. By the end of the day, all of the surviving enemy ships had been captured or destroyed. Not a single alien ship made it to their base. Jae-wook stood on his bridge and looked at the results. 12 human ships had defeated and captured more than 150 alien ships. The prisoners would provide valuable intelligence. The captured ships would show human scientists how alien technology worked. But most importantly, the galaxy would learn something new about humans. They would learn that when humans started hunting, they didn't stop until they caught their prey. On Nexus Prime, the Hegemony Council waited for news from their fleet. They had expected a quick victory. They had expected their ships to come home with reports of human surrender. Instead, they got silence. Where is Commander Reltak? Council Leader Vextar demanded. We don't know, sir. His fleet was supposed to report in 6 hours ago. Contact the Cathera base. Ask them if they've seen our ships. The communications officer tried several times. Finally, he turned back to the council. Sir, the Cathera base isn't responding either. Vextar felt cold fear in his stomach. Send a scout ship to investigate. Yes, sir. But Vextar already knew what the scout ship would find. The humans had not just defeated their fleet, they had destroyed it completely. And if the humans could do that to 2,000 ships, what else could they do? For the first time in centuries, the Hegemony Council was afraid. Dr. Sujin sat in the small white room and looked at her captors. 3 alien scientists stared back at her with confusion and fear. They had been asking her questions for hours, but they didn't like her answers. The lead scientist was called Mordek. He had gray skin and large black eyes. His species was very smart, but they had never met humans before. Dr. Sujin, Mordek said in careful English, please help us understand. How did your small fleet defeat our great armada? Sujin was a xenobiologist. She studied alien life forms. She had been captured when her research ship was attacked 3 days ago. But she wasn't afraid. She knew something her captors didn't know. You made a mistake, she said calmly. What mistake? You watched us for 47 years. You thought you knew everything about us, but you only saw what we wanted you to see. Mordek leaned forward. Explain. Sujin smiled. You saw our exploration ships. You saw our research vessels like mine. You saw our trading ships going between planets. What you didn't see was our military. We saw your military ships. We counted them. You had less than 200 vessels. Those weren't our military ships. Those were our scouts. The aliens looked at each other. They didn't understand. Let me explain something about humans, Sujin said. We come from a dangerous world. On Earth, everything tries to kill everything else. Plants, animals, weather, diseases, even the ground under our feet can kill us. Many worlds are dangerous, Mordek said. Not like Earth. On our world, if you want to survive, you have to be smarter and more dangerous than everything around you. Humans learned to fight before we learned to farm. We learned to make weapons before we learned to make tools. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the great city of the aliens. It was beautiful and peaceful. Your species is different, she continued. You became smart first. You learned to build cities and make peace with each other. When you went to the stars, you met other peaceful species. Yes, we formed the hegemony to bring order to the galaxy. Sujin laughed. You formed the hegemony because you were strong and others were weak. But you never met a species like humans. What makes humans so different? We assume everyone wants to kill us, because on our world, they usually do. Mordek looked confused. That seems like a terrible way to live. Maybe. But it keeps us alive. She sat back down and looked directly at Mordek. When humans first traveled to the stars, we knew we would meet aliens eventually. We hoped they would be friendly, but we prepared for them to be hostile. So you built a military. We built the greatest military force in the galaxy. Every human colony has weapons. Every human ship can fight. Every human citizen knows how to defend themselves. But we watched you. We saw your ships. Su-Jin shook her head. You saw the ships we wanted you to see. You saw our exploration fleet. Those ships are designed to look peaceful and weak. They make contact with new species and study them. Study them? We learn how you fight. We learn how your weapons work. We learn how your ships are built. We learn everything about you. Mordek was starting to understand. You were studying us for 47 years. We know everything about your technology. We know how your shields work. We know how your weapons fire. We know how your ships move. The alien scientist felt sick. So when you came to fight us, we knew exactly how to defeat you. Your weapons couldn't hurt our ships because we built our shields to stop them. Your tactics didn't work because we had practiced against them for decades. How many ships do you really have? Su-Jin was quiet for a moment. Then she said, the fleet that defeated your armada was called the Reserve Fleet. It's made up of old ships and new crews. We use it for training exercises. Training exercises? Practice battles. The Reserve Fleet represents about 8% of our total military force. The room went silent. Mordek's hands were shaking. 8%? That's right. Then how many ships do you actually have? I'm just a scientist. I don't know the exact numbers, but I can tell you that Earth has 11 full combat fleets. Each fleet has between 1,000 and 2,000 ships. Mordek fell back in his chair. The numbers were impossible. No species had that many warships. That's more ships than the entire hegemony has. Yes. Why do you need so many ships? Su-Jin looked out the window again. Because we learned something a long time ago. If you want peace, you have to be ready for war. Always. While Dr. Su-Jin was teaching the aliens about human nature, Admiral Wu-Jin was preparing the real fleet for action. His command ship, the TDF Retribution, was 5 times larger than any ship in the reserve fleet. Around him, 1,000 other ships prepared for battle. These were not practice ships or training vessels. These were the tools of war, built by a species that understood killing. Admiral, his aide said, all ships report ready. Good. Signal the fleet. We jump in 1 hour. Yes, sir. Where are we going? Wu-Jin looked at the star charts. Intelligence from the captured aliens had shown him where the enemy bases were located. It was time to show the galaxy what humans could really do. We're going to Nexus Prime. On the alien homeworld, the Hegemony Council was in emergency session. The scout ship had returned with terrible news. The Cathera base was gone. 2,000 ships had been destroyed. The humans had left no survivors. How is this possible? Council leader Vextar demanded. Sir, his military advisor said, our analysts have studied the battle data. The human ships are far more advanced than we thought. In what way? Their weapons can penetrate our shields. Their armor can stop our weapons. Their ships move faster than ours. And their tactics? What about their tactics? Sir, they don't. Fight like civilized beings. They use every dirty trick possible. They turn our own weapons against us. They use debris as weapons. They even ram our ships with their smaller vessels. Vexitar felt his confidence cracking. Ramming? That's suicide. Not for them, sir. Their smaller ships are heavily armored. When they ram one of our ships, we are destroyed and they survive. These humans are barbarians. Yes, sir. But they are very effective barbarians. Another council member spoke up. How many human ships are there? Unknown, sir. Our spies only saw their exploration vessels. We now believe those were not military ships. Then what were they? Scouts. Sir, they were watching us and learning about us. The council chamber filled with worried voices. If the humans had been studying them, then everything the hegemony thought they knew was wrong. Order all fleets to return to home systems, Vexitar commanded. We need to defend our core worlds. Sir, what about our outer colonies? They will have to defend themselves. As the orders went out across the hegemony, Admiral Wu Jin smiled. The aliens were doing exactly what human planners had expected. They were pulling back to defend their homeworlds. That would make them easier targets. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, long-range sensors are picking up enemy ship movements. They're retreating to their core systems. Perfect. They're scared, and they're making mistakes. What are your orders, sir? Wu Jin looked at the tactical display. Thousands of red dots represented enemy ships. Soon, most of those dots would disappear. Signal all ships. We are about to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten Earth. Dr. Sujin was still talking to her captors when the alarms started. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the building. Voices shouted in the alien language. What's happening? She asked. Mordek was reading reports on his computer. His face went pale. Human ships have been detected entering our system. How? Many ships? 1,000, Sujin nodded. That would be one of our real fleets. Real fleets? The reserve fleet was just the beginning. Now you get to see what human warships actually look like. Through the window, they could see lights moving in the sky. The alien defense fleet was launching to meet the human ships. Will your people attack the city? Mordek asked. Only if your people keep fighting. Humans don't kill civilians unless we have to. What do you want from us? Sujin looked at the scared alien scientist. We want you to stop conquering other species. We want you to free the worlds you have enslaved. We want you to leave peaceful people alone. And if we refuse? Sujin pointed at the lights in the sky. The alien defense fleet was already being destroyed. Human ships moved through them like sharks through a school of fish. Then we will make you stop. The battle in space lasted only 3 hours. When it was over, the great hegemony fleet was gone. The humans had lost 4 ships. Admiral Wu Jin opened a communication channel to the planet below. This is Admiral Wu Jin of the Terran First Fleet. Your military forces have been defeated. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with respect. Continue to fight, and we will destroy every warship in your empire. The response came quickly. We surrender. But Admiral Wu Jin knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had seen one human fleet destroy the greatest military force in known space. Soon they would learn that Earth had 10 more fleets just like it. General Minsu stood on the bridge of the TDF Vengeance and watched as space twisted around them. The first strike fleet was jumping through hyperspace toward the most important target in the galaxy, Nexus Prime, the capital world of the hegemony. Behind him, 999 other ships made the same jump. This was not the reserve fleet that had won the first battle. This was not even the regular fleet that had destroyed the alien base. This was the first strike fleet, humanity's most elite fighting force. General, his navigator called out. Jump, complete. We are at the edge of the Nexus system. Any enemy ships? Yes, sir. Looks like they have about 500 vessels guarding their homeworld. Minsu smiled. The aliens still didn't understand what they were facing. 500 ships might have been enough to stop any other species. But humans were different. Signal the fleet. Attack Formation Omega. Target their command ships first. On Nexus Prime, Council Leader Vexistar was in his emergency bunker deep underground. Above him, the most beautiful city in the galaxy was about to become a battlefield. Sir, his aide reported, the human fleet has appeared at the edge of our system. How many ships? 1,000, sir. Vextar felt his heart beating fast. What class of ships? Unknown, sir. They're larger than the ones that attacked the Cathara base. Much larger. Through the communication system, he could hear the voices of his fleet commanders. They sounded scared. All units, this is Admiral Kreldnox. The human ships are not like anything we've seen before. They're huge. Command, this is Squadron Leader Veltar. The human vessels are emitting massive energy signatures. I don't think our weapons will be effective. All ships, maintain defensive positions. Do not attack until ordered. But Vextar knew his fleet was doomed. If one small human fleet could destroy 2,000 ships, what could this massive fleet do? The answer came quickly. Admiral Yunji commanded the human fleet from the bridge of the TDF Destiny. She was a calm woman with sharp eyes and a voice that cut through any chaos. Around her, her crew worked with deadly efficiency. Admiral, her weapons officer, reported. All ships are in position. Targeting systems are locked on enemy vessels. Very good. Open a channel to the alien fleet. Channel open, ma'am. Yunji's voice carried across space to every alien ship. This is Admiral Yunji of the Terran First Armada. You have one chance to surrender. Lower your shields and power down your weapons. If you refuse, we will destroy every ship in your fleet. The alien response was immediate. This is Admiral Krelnox of the Hegemony Defense Fleet. We will not surrender to barbarians. Very well. You have chosen your fate. Yunji turned to her weapons officer. You may fire when ready. The human attack was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of the simple energy beams used by most species, human weapons were complex and terrifying. Quantum torpedoes punched through alien shields like they weren't there. Plasma cannons melted enemy armor in seconds. Gravity weapons pulled alien ships apart from the inside. But the most frightening thing was how the human ships moved. They didn't stay in formation like normal fleets. They spread out and attacked from every direction at once. Captain Do-hyun commanded one of the smaller human ships, the TDF Hunter. His job was to get behind the enemy fleet and attack their rear. Guard, Captain, his pilot said. Enemy fighters are coming at us. How many? About 50 fighters, sir. Do-hyun laughed. Only 50? That's not even a warm-up. His ship spun around and fired a spread of micro-missiles. Each missile was only as big as a baseball, but they were incredibly fast and smart. They chased the enemy fighters through space like angry wasps. Within minutes, all 50 enemy fighters were destroyed. Do-hyun's ship hadn't even been scratched. Pilot, take us toward the enemy battleship. I want to see how tough their armor really is. The TDF Hunter was a small ship, only about the size of an enemy fighter, but it carried weapons that could destroy ships 100 times larger. Do-hyun lined up his target. The enemy battleship was massive, with thick armor and powerful shields. It looked invincible. Fire the Lance torpedo. The torpedo was a new human weapon. It was designed to punch through the thickest armor and explode inside the enemy ship. The aliens had never seen anything like it. The torpedo hit the battleship's hull and disappeared inside. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire rear section of the enemy ship exploded. Target destroyed, sir. Good. Find us another target. Across the battlefield, similar scenes were playing out. Human ships that were outnumbered 10-1 were destroying enemy fleets. Human weapons that seemed impossible were tearing through alien defenses. Admiral Krelnox watched his fleet die around him. His flagship was one of the last ships still fighting. Sir, his tactical officer reported. We've lost 80% of our fleet. The humans have lost 3 ships. 3 ships? Out of 1,000? Yes, sir. And 2 of those were just damaged, not destroyed. Krelnox couldn't believe it. His fleet had been built to defend the most important world in the galaxy. They had the best ships, the best weapons, the best training, and they were losing to a species that hadn't even been spacefaring for 50 years. Sir, incoming message from the human flagship. Put it on screen. Admiral Yunji appeared on his view screen. She looked calm and professional. Admiral Krelnox, your fleet is defeated. Surrender now and your remaining crews will be spared. Never. The hegemony will never surrender. Then you will die for nothing. The screen went black. Moments later, Krelnox's flagship was hit by 6 different human weapons at once. The ship broke apart like a toy. Admiral Yunji watched the last enemy ship explode. The battle had lasted exactly 3 hours and 17 minutes. The Hegemony Defense Fleet, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, had been completely destroyed. Admiral, her communications officer said, we're receiving surrender signals from the planet. Accept their surrender, but keep our weapons locked on their cities. I want them to understand that we could destroy their world if we wanted to. Yes, ma'am. On Nexus Prime, Council Leader Vex's Tar climbed out of his bunker and looked at the sky. The human ships hung in space like dark angels of death. Their weapons were pointed at his world. A communication came from the human flagship. This is Admiral Yunji. We accept your surrender. You will immediately order all hegemony fleets to stand down. You will release all enslaved worlds. You will turn over your war criminals for trial. And if we refuse, then we will destroy every military installation in your empire. Your choice. Vextar looked around at his advisors. They were all staring at him with fear in their eyes. What about our other fleets? We still have ships at our other worlds. His military advisor shook his head. Sir, if this one human fleet can destroy our home defense force, what chance do our other fleets have? How many fleets do the humans have? We don't know, sir. But based on what we've seen, they have at least 10 fleets this size. Vextar felt his world crashing down around him. For 300 years, the hegemony had ruled the galaxy through fear and strength. Now they were the ones who were afraid. Send the surrender signal to all our fleets. Tell them to stand down immediately. Yes, sir. As the orders went out across the galaxy, Admiral Yunji received reports from her intelligence officers. Admiral, our analysis of the enemy fleet is complete. Their technology is about 50 years behind ours. What about their other fleets? Based on captured data, all hegemony ships use the same basic technology. Our weapons can destroy any ship in their empire. Yunji nodded. Good. Signal Earth Command. Tell them that Phase 1 is complete. What is Phase 2, Admiral? Yunji looked at the defeated alien world below them. Phase 2 is when we show the galaxy what happens to bullies. On Earth, President Kyung-soo read the battle report with satisfaction. The first strike fleet had performed perfectly. The hegemony's main military force was gone. But this was just the beginning. General, he said to his aide, signal all fleet commanders. Operation Liberation is now in effect. Yes, sir. All fleets? All fleets. It's time to free the galaxy. Across human space, 10 more fleets began to move. Each fleet was larger and more powerful than the one that had just destroyed the hegemony defense force. The aliens had wanted to see what humanity was capable of. They had thought one small fleet was all Earth could manage. They were about to learn that Earth had been holding back. The galaxy was about to see what happened when humans decided to stop playing games and start fighting for real. And for the first time in 300 years, the oppressed worlds of the galaxy began to hope. Freedom was coming. Ambassador Jihai stood at the center of the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime. Around her, representatives from 200 different species sat in silence. Most of them had never seen a human before today. She was a small woman with kind eyes, but everyone in the room knew she represented the most powerful military force in the galaxy. The humans had asked for this meeting, and no one dared refuse. My friends, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. 3 months ago, many of your worlds were slaves of the hegemony. Today you are free. A murmur went through the crowd. The Dulaxian representative raised one of his 4 hands. Ambassador Jihai, we are grateful for our freedom, but we must ask, what do the humans want from us? Nothing, Jihai replied. We want nothing from you except the chance to live in peace. The Karathi representative, a tall being with blue skin, spoke next. But surely you must want something. No species frees others without gaining something in return. Jihai smiled. The hegemony taught you that, didn't they? That every action must have a selfish purpose? That power exists only to be used for gain? Is that not true? For humans, no. We believe that freedom is a right, not a privilege. We believe that no species should be enslaved by another. The Vorthon representative's voice was shaky with fear. Ambassador, we have heard rumors about human military strength. Is it true that you have more fleets? The hall went completely quiet. This was the question everyone wanted answered. Jihai nodded to her aide, who activated a large holographic display behind her. The display showed the structure of human military forces. Many of you are wondering about our capabilities, she said. I think it's time you knew the truth. The display lit up with tactical information that made several aliens gasp in shock. The fleet that defeated the hegemony invasion force was our reserve fleet. It consists of older ships and new crews. We use it for training purposes. Numbers appeared on the screen. 150 ships, 12 losses, complete victory. The fleet that liberated Nexus Prime was our second armada. It is one of our rapid deployment forces. More numbers. 1,000 ships. Total enemy destruction. Minimal losses. The Dulaxian representative was doing calculations in his head. Ambassador, if that was just one armada, how many do you have? Our 1st through 5th armadas are designed for rapid deployment and tactical superiority. Each consists of 1,000 vessels. The aliens looked at each other in amazement. 5,000 frontline combat ships. It was more than most species had ever dreamed of building, but HFY wasn't finished. Our 6th through 10th armadas are strategic force projection fleets. Each consists of 2,000 vessels. The Vorthon representative's vocal sacs inflated with distress. That's 15,000 warships. Actually, HFY said with a small smile, that's just our frontline combat fleets. That doesn't include our patrol squadrons, system defense forces, or the home fleet. Admiral Chang Min stepped forward from behind the human delegation. He was an old man with gray hair and scars on his face from many battles. What, Ambassador, HFY isn't mentioning, he said, is that we've been building for 40 years based on one simple assumption. What assumption? Asked the Karathi representative. That we would eventually face an enemy that outnumbered us 1,000 to 1. Everything we've built is designed to be completely superior to whatever we might face. The hall erupted in whispered conversations. The aliens were trying to understand numbers that seemed impossible. The hegemony's entire military had consisted of about 8,000 ships spread across their empire. The humans were claiming to have twice that number just in their main battle. Fleets. Admiral Chang Min, the Dulaxian said, why did your species build so many warships? Surely you didn't expect to find such a large enemy. Chang Min's expression became serious. On our world, we have a saying. The only way to ensure peace is to be prepared for war. We learned long ago that bullies only respect strength. But such a large military must be very expensive. Yes, it is. But slavery is more expensive. Oppression is more expensive. The cost of freedom is always less than the cost of tyranny. Ambassador HFY activated another part of the display. This one showed human ship designs compared to hegemony vessels. Our ships are not just more numerous than yours, she explained. They are also more advanced. Human weapons can penetrate any known defense. Human shields can stop any known weapon. Human engines are faster than anything else in the galaxy. A small alien in the back of the hall raised his hand. How is that possible? Your species has only been in space for 50 years. Because we built everything for one purpose, Admiral Chang Min answered. Survival. Every human ship is designed to fight outnumbered and win. Every human weapon is designed to kill efficiently. Every human defense is designed to keep us alive against impossible odds. The Karathi representative looked confused. But why? Why assume you would face such terrible enemies? HFY's expression became sad. Because on our world, we learned that peaceful species don't usually survive first contact with hostile ones. We decided that if we met hostile aliens, we would be ready. And if you met peaceful aliens, then we would have strong friends and eternal peace. The Vorthon representative was still trying to understand the numbers. Ambassador, you said this. Doesn't include your patrol squadrons or system defenses. How many ships do you actually have? Admiral Chang Min handles those details. The old admiral smiled grimly. Each human colony has a system defense force of 50 to 100 ships. We have 137 colonies. More calculations. The aliens were starting to look sick. Our patrol squadrons number about 2,000 ships total. They keep the space lanes safe and respond to emergencies. And the home fleet? The home fleet defends Earth itself. It consists of 5,000 ships, including our most advanced vessels. The silence in the hall was deafening. The humans were describing a military force of over 30,000 warships. It was larger than all the other fleets in the galaxy combined. Finally, the Dulaxian representative found his voice. Why are you telling us this? Surely such information is classified. Because, HFY said, we want you to understand something important. The hegemony ruled through fear and secrecy. They wanted you to be afraid of them. And you? We want you to feel safe. We want you to know that no one will ever enslave you again. We want you to know that Earth will protect your freedom. The Karathi representative looked worried. But what if you decide to conquer us yourselves? Who could stop you? Admiral Chang Min stepped forward again. That's a fair question. The answer is, No one could stop us if we wanted to conquer you. But we don't want to. How can we be sure? Because we've had the power to conquer the galaxy for 20 years, and we haven't done it. We only revealed our strength when the hegemony threatened innocent people. HFY activated the final part of her presentation. It showed a map of the galaxy with human fleet positions. As we speak, human fleets are liberating every world that was enslaved by the hegemony. We are not conquering these worlds. We are freeing them. What will happen to the hegemony species? Those who committed war crimes will be tried and punished. Those who were just following orders will be forgiven. Those who want to live in peace will be welcomed as friends. The Vorthon representative asked the question that was on everyone's mind. What does Earth want from the galaxy? Trade, HFY said simply. Friendship, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation. The same things any peaceful species wants. And in return, we will protect you. No one will ever threaten your freedom again. The hall was quiet for a long moment. Then the Dulaxian representative stood up. I speak for my people when I say, we accept this offer. The Dulaxians will be honored to call humanity our friends. One by one, the other representatives stood. The Karathi, the Vorthons, the Melkari, the Tigrons, all of them accepting humanity's protection. But they all understood what this really meant. The galaxy now had a new ruler. Not a tyrant like the hegemony, but a protector. A species so powerful that no one could challenge them, but so principled that they use their power only to defend others. Admiral Chang Min watched the aliens pledge their friendship to humanity. He felt proud, but also worried. Power like this was dangerous even in the hands of good people. Admiral, one of his aides whispered, do you think they really trust us? They don't have a choice, he replied quietly. But that's okay. Trust will come with time. For now, it's enough that they're free. On Earth, President Kyung-soo watched the ceremony through a live video feed. The galaxy now knew the truth about human military power. There would be no more surprises, no more hidden fleets. Mr. President, his aide said, the other fleets are reporting in. All hegemony forces have surrendered. Every enslaved world has been liberated. Good. Begin Phase 3. What is Phase 3, sir? Kyung-soo smiled. Phase 3 is when we prove that humans can be trusted with power. Phase 3 is when we show the galaxy what peace really looks like. The age of the hegemony was over. The age of human protection had begun. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy began to hope for a future without fear. Secretary General Boram stood before the newly built Galactic Assembly Hall on the neutral world of Haven. 6 months had passed since the fall of the hegemony, and the galaxy was learning what freedom meant. The hall was beautiful in its simplicity. Unlike the crystal towers of the old hegemony, this building was made of simple stone and metal. It had wide windows that let in natural light and doors that were always open to the public. Representatives from 300 species filled the chamber. Former slaves sat next to former masters. Ancient enemies worked together on trade agreements. It was something the galaxy had never seen before. My friends, Boram began, 6 months ago, this assembly was just a dream. Today it is a reality. The Galactic Cooperative Assembly represents the free will of every species in known space. The Dulaxian representative raised his hand. Secretary General, we are grateful for this opportunity, but many of our people still ask, what does humanity truly want from us? Boram smiled. She had expected this question. We want exactly what we have always wanted. Peace, trade, and friendship. Nothing more. But surely you must want some form of control. You have the power to rule us all. Having power and using power are two different things. Humans learned long ago that ruling others by force always leads to rebellion. We prefer cooperation. In the back of the chamber, former Hegemony Council leader Vextar listened carefully. He was no longer a ruler, but he had been allowed to speak for his species in this new government. It was more mercy than he had ever shown to others. Secretary General, he said, I must ask about your military forces. Many species are still afraid of human power. That's understandable, Boram replied. Let me be clear about our military doctrine. She activated a display showing human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Our fleets are deployed to protect trade routes, respond to emergencies, and defend against external threats. They are not occupation forces. Every world is free to govern itself as it sees fit. The Karathi representative looked worried. But what if a world chooses to leave the cooperative? What if they don't want human protection? Then they are free to leave. We will not force anyone to accept our help. And if they attack other worlds? Bahram's expression became serious. Then we will stop them. The freedom to leave does not include the freedom to hurt others. Fleet Admiral Siak Jin watched the assembly from the observation deck above the main chamber. He commanded the largest military force in galactic history, but his job was not to conquer. His job was to protect. Admiral, his aide said quietly, intelligence reports that the Zarkari Confederation is building new warships. How many ships? About 50, sir. They seem to be testing our resolve. Siak Jin nodded. There would always be species who thought they could challenge human power. They would have to be taught otherwise. Deploy the 7th Patrol Squadron to their border. Make sure they know we're watching. Yes, sir. The Zarkari had been allies of the hegemony. They had helped enslave dozens of worlds. Now they were free, but some of their leaders wanted to return to the old ways. Captain Haya Jin commanded the patrol ship TDF Guardian as it arrived at the edge of Zarkari space. Her ship was small compared to the great battle fleets, but it was still more powerful than anything the Zarkari could build. Captain, her communications officer reported, the Zarkari fleet is approaching. 50 ships as intelligence reported. Open a channel. The Zarkari fleet commander appeared on screen. He was a large creature with sharp teeth and angry eyes. Human ship. You are in Zarkari space without permission. Leave immediately, or we will destroy you. Hye-Jin smiled calmly. This is Captain Hye-Jin of the Terran Defense Force. I'm here to remind you of the terms of the Galactic Peace Accord. We never signed your accord. You didn't have to. The accord applies to all species in this galaxy. Article 7 clearly states that no world may build military forces for the purpose of attacking others. You cannot tell us what to build. Actually, we can. Your intelligence files show that these ships are designed for planetary bombardment. They have no defensive purpose. The Zarkari commander looked surprised. He didn't know that human intelligence agencies had been watching his shipyards for months. You have two choices, Hye-Jin continued. Convert these ships to peaceful purposes, or we will convert them to scrap metal. You are only one ship! We have 50! Yes, you do. And I have one ship. Would you like to see which number is more important? The Zarkari commander looked at his tactical display. His 50 ships were powerful by local standards, but they were no match for human technology. You're bluffing. No one is that powerful. Hye-Jin sighed. Computer, target the lead Zarkari vessel. Fire one warning shot across their bow. A single beam of energy lanced out from the TDF Guardian. It passed just in front of the Zarkari flagship and struck an asteroid behind it. The asteroid, which was the size of a small moon, simply ceased to exist. The Zarkari fleet stopped moving. As I was saying, Hye-Jin continued, you have two choices. What will it be? We will convert our ships to peaceful purposes. Excellent. We will provide technical assistance to help with the conversion. Have a pleasant day. The channel closed. The Zarkari fleet turned around and headed home. Captain, her weapons officer said, that was almost too easy. That's the point. When your enemies know they can't win, they usually don't try to fight. Back on Haven, the Galactic Assembly was voting on its first major piece of legislation. The Universal Rights Declaration would guarantee basic freedoms to every sentient being in the galaxy. The vote was unanimous. Secretary General Bahram smiled as she signed the declaration. This document represents a new beginning for our galaxy. Never again will any species be enslaved. Never again will the strong be allowed to abuse the weak. The Dulaxian representative stood up. Secretary General, my people want to express our gratitude. For the first time in 200 years, Dulaxian children are learning to read. The hegemony had forbidden education for our species. Education is a right, not a privilege, Bahram replied. Every child in this galaxy deserves the chance to learn and grow. The Vorthan representative spoke next. Our artists are creating, New works for the first time in generations. Under the hegemony, all art had to glorify their empire. Now we are free to express ourselves. Similar stories came from around the chamber. The Melkari were rebuilding their destroyed libraries. The Tigrans were resuming their scientific research. The Karathi were rebuilding their sacred temples. Freedom was spreading across the galaxy like sunlight after a long night. But Boram knew that freedom was fragile. It had to be protected constantly. "My friends," she said, "we have accomplished much, but our work is not finished. There are still species in the Outer Rim who have not heard of our cooperative. There are still worlds where slavery exists. What do you propose?" asked the Dulaxian. "We will send peaceful missions to contact these worlds. We will offer them the same choice we offer everyone: freedom and cooperation or isolation. And if they choose to remain hostile, then we will contain them until they change their minds." Fleet Admiral Seok-jin received his new orders later that day. 3 exploration fleets would be sent to the Outer Rim. Their mission was to make contact with unknown species and offer them membership in the cooperative. Each fleet would be accompanied by diplomats, scientists, and trade representatives. But they would also carry enough firepower to defend themselves against any threat. "Admiral," his chief of staff said, "intelligence estimates there may be hostile species beyond our current borders." There probably are. But they will learn the same lesson the hegemony learned, which is that humans protect our friends, and our friends now include most of the galaxy. On Earth, President Kyung-soo read the daily reports from across human space. Crime was down. Trade was up. Scientific progress was accelerating as different species shared their knowledge. But the most important report came from the Education Department. "Mr. President," his aide said, "the first class of alien students has graduated from Terran universities." "How did they do?" "Excellent. The Dulaxian student who studied medicine wants to return home and start the first hospital on her world. The Karathi engineer has designed a new water purification system for desert planets." Kyung-soo smiled. This was what victory really looked like. Not conquered worlds or enslaved populations, but young minds learning to build a better future. "Sir, there's something else. The students want to establish an exchange program. They want more aliens to study on Earth, and they want human students to study on their worlds." "Approved. Education is the foundation of lasting peace." Captain Haijin completed her patrol route and returned to base. Her ship's computer recorded the day's activities. 1 diplomatic contact, 0 hostile encounters, 0 shots fired in anger. It was a typical day in the new galaxy. "Captain," her communications officer said, "message from Fleet Command. We're being reassigned to exploration duty." "Where are we going?" "The Andromeda contact mission. We're going to see if there are any civilizations in the next galaxy." Ha-Jin looked out at the stars. Humanity had brought peace to their own galaxy in less than 50 years. Now they were ready to explore beyond. "What if we find hostile aliens in Andromeda? Then we'll handle them the same way we handled the hegemony. And if we find peaceful aliens, then we